Hi YouTube family, this is Iris. I wanted to invite you to come and enjoy a sewing room tour. So right now I'm participating in a Organize Your Sewing Space challenge with Just Get It Done quilts, and part of what they do is just help you enjoy your sewing experience more with this challenge. So I'll start in this corner of the space. This lower level bookcase was actually quite clutter filled, and early on in the challenge they ask you to discard anything that you're not currently using. So patterns, magazines, and books that are no longer applicable for you, feel free to give them away. If they're damaged, to discard them by recycling, all those types of things. And I was also able to get rid of things that didn't belong in that bookshelf at all. So it really gave it a facelift and more attractive to look upon when I'm in the sewing room. These two quilt stands actually are more eye candy for me than anything, with the taller quilt stand displaying completed projects, and then a shorter one offering the opportunity to complete a project. These are quilt surfaces that I'm in partnership with my sister on. She really enjoys doing the surface of quilts, and then I told my sister Cheryl that I would help her with the rest of the quilting projects. But they're so much fun just to look upon. I love the colors. This area here is a storage for shipping and handling, and then this area here holds our container storage. So just utilizing containers to keep your space eye friendly helps to not make it like, oh my gosh, I have to fold all this fabric back up since I moved something. An example of being adaptive with that is my top row here is actually able to hold quick access materials like interfacing and fat quarters. And then up on top of this stand we have my rulers, my favorite books, my Gutterman thread display, and various wall decor. This drapery, this cathedral-like drapery, was a gift from my brother, so it really helped to create that divide in our lower level, so we have separate spaces to do things. This additional bookshelf actually helps me organize my threads in the shorter stands. They are able to keep them away from any dust and debris that floats around in the air, so I keep those closed. And then the lower shelving also holds fabric. Just to encourage anyone who might be thinking of organizing their space, if you're in a mood to clean and get organized, just cut yourself a little grace, because it doesn't occur to you until you're maybe in the throes of organizing that you're like, wait a minute, how many containers do I need? There are a lot of resources out there for various types of containers, sizes, and prices alike. We obtained this full-size mirror for individuals to come down and try on any of the skirts that were being obtained. And those that follow me on Facebook, you can see that this was my last sewing project. And then we come to my ironing station, where I have some wall decor. It makes me enjoy my space more. But my last project was the pegboards creation according to what works in my sewing space. So I'm in my basement, and these are concrete walls. I know that there are certain screws that you can use to adhere items to the wall or hang pictures for concrete, but I really didn't want to put a lot of holes in the wall, so I utilize what has been advantageous for me through picture wire. So this particular one has a triad of wires to keep it symmetrical. It can be weighted because in this container I have starch and water and I think that's static guard and different things to help me. My pin cushion, my spray bottle that helped me when I'm in my ironing station. But that pegboard creation was a DIY where I took old frames that I loved, but were no longer using the pictures in our home. So instead of having them sit in the basement, taking up space just in storage, I use them as a project to beautify my sewing space. So using the frames encasement, like putting the actual pegboard on the exterior versus behind the frame, gave me the space I needed for the pegboard, as these are not attached to the concrete wall. So if you're looking for ways to integrate pegboards into your space, this might be something you would want to explore. I wanted to also mention that the pegboard tools that I use are two sources. This is not a sponsored video, but I'm severely in love with the MAD tools. They're nice and thick, and in my situation, I didn't want as many, I suppose. I didn't want pegs that would constantly come out, especially if I'm using them in a capacity like this. So this bowl is here for extra thread debris. But I needed a secure basket that would offer, stability and sturdiness and beautification in my actual ironing station. So there's another station I want to introduce you to. This is my sewing station. My sewing tables are my sewing stands, I guess that's how you would say it. So all of these are traditional classical sewing machines inside these stands. The Serger from Brother and the Singer Classic are the machines that I'm currently using quite frequently. So that is my sewing space with these two storage containers in between. I also have this garbage can for debris, just trying to minimize as much cleanup as possible. But the pegboards here are under the similar fashion of inside picture frames that I really enjoy. And then the MAD tools are my favorite because they allow me sturdy attachment that I don't have to worry about. These are going to come out. The baskets are nice, and in these two they have a singular attachment, so keeping everything symmetrical really helps out with the distribution of weight. And the MAD tools, really, if you're looking for something to help with your pegboards being sturdy, I would recommend you go ahead and explore MAD tools because they really came in handy. An example of why I retained the Home Depot one is I do in my sewing space have tools that have very small holes. So those tools would have a hard time on the MAD device. And this is a hole I put in my seam ripper myself, so it's not like it came that way. A lot of things, like scissors have plenty of opening, or our rulers have a standard hole width, but this is an atypical one. So this peg from Home Depot was fine, but I wouldn't say that it's something I would want throughout my whole pegboard because they're not as sturdy. And then again, with this thimble holder on this sewing table, it used to get abused quite a bit. So again, placing holes in it using the thinner pegs were advantageous, and the holes weren't big enough for the MAD tools. So I just decided to keep both of them in order to, have the advantage of both the smaller peg and the thicker, more secure peg. I know that most people use the MAD tools for their automotive tool peg boards, or some people use them in their craft peg boards, but I'm really enjoying them in my sewing space. And then the other baskets come in handy for, a box cutter or devices you want to be secured versus trying to have them in this space. So I'm sure you'll be able to find what you enjoy. And then my serger, my brother's serger, I have to tell you guys, if you run into one, grab it because it is a delight to work with. It really is. My last station in my sewing space is my fabric table or my cutting space. This is 2 tables put together on lifters and then a homemade skirt, which provides me with additional storage underneath. And that space has been cleaned out as well in order to give me, I'd say 80% of it is fabric, and then the 20% is office related materials that just have an overflow. The last portion of my space is my study space, office, and bookkeeping area, and just really redefining how I like to maintain it. I like this little serving tray here that enables me to have a little niceties available to me, that it reflects more of who I am and not just work, 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 work. This is truly a therapeutic way for me to look forward to coming down into my sewing space. I want to thank you for taking the time to come in and see it with me. I mentioned that the drapery that divides my sewing space from another portion of the basement was from my brother, but I should also mention that this backdrop on the wall here was from my children. When they were very small, we did what was called a splash painting, and over the years, it did a wonderful job at the time to paint, to have it on the wall. But over the years, I was like, okay, how can I retain the memory of all of us doing this together and fun, and then lighten what it does for my eye candy? So I used some painter's tape and opted to paint over it, but then it retained the pattern and it looks kind of like a quilt pattern to me. So it's even more enjoyable. But there's stories like that throughout the sewing space. This multi-tiered lantern is from my daughter, and it really helps me spread some good lighting down here. As we're in a basement, you never have enough lighting. So I just wanted to encourage anyone who is in their basement and is thinking about, how can I hook this up? You can reuse sewing tables, old, activity tables, some lifters. There's a way. And I know with all of our creativity, however you hook up your space, it's going to be amazing. But I wanted to encourage anyone who was thinking about using their basement that it can be exactly what you would enjoy it being. There's always a chance for new DIY projects. Like, I think I'm going to make a bigger ironing board surface on this one. There's always something you can do to improve your space and enjoy it more. So just wanted to encourage you, if you're in your basement, make it amazing. Have an amazing day, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to view this video. Please click like and tell a friend to view the video, and really enjoy having additional subscribers. Thank you all for subscribing. If you want to see more about gardening and sewing and sister locks, I'll be here just sharing a little bit about my journey, and I appreciate you taking the time to enjoy the stories. So have a wonderful day. You all take care. Bye-bye.